Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. As you know, my name is Nicole, and I'm very excited to be here today with Jenny. Now, Jenny works with couples who are building their businesses, but I'm not going to chop it up anymore. I'm going to go ahead and let her take the wheel here and let us know, Jenny, a little bit about who you are and who you help.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone that's listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. I want to encourage everyone to take ownership of their life. And I only started doing that several years ago when my marriage fell apart during the same time I was building my business. So I am the CEO and founder of a company called Music Compound. We do music education, all ages, any level, any interest. I am not a musician nor an educator, and no, I am not a mom either. But I get to change the lives of tons of individuals that come to my music school every single week. I manage a team of 32 individuals composing of teachers, which are creative artists, and I have a whole front office team as well that helps with building the business and taking care of our clients. I started the company in 2016, very excited, ready to risk it all. I had developed the business plan in 2009, and the business was booming and all that great stuff. Shortly after launching the business in 2018, I discovered that my husband was having an affair with a coworker. Bomb hit the hit my life, and anyways, I was able to through a lot of self-discovery and therapy and work, I was able to find forgiveness for myself, then my husband, and we were able to rebuild our marriage. And we will be celebrating 12 years of marriage in May, and we're super excited about that. For anyone that has experienced that, I want to just give you hope that you can rebuild the marriage and the marriage can be better than it ever was. My husband have more connection, more intimacy, more love, passion, and just overall, our marriage is phenomenal. And I'm so grateful for the challenges. And I'm even more grateful that we were able to overcome those and really take our time before throwing in the towel so that we had an opportunity to have a beautiful second marriage. So that's the short story of where I am currently. And it's been a roller coaster. If any of you are entrepreneurs, you can understand that there's a lot of highs and lows that come with owning and operating a business. And then we also have our personal life to manage as well. So it's really hard to juggle both of them when you're so passionate and involved in the success of the company that you're working so hard. And it's important to take time for the personal life as well so that people will still be there when you want them to be.
That is such a big deal. A common theme, and by the way, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us because that's a big deal. And so we appreciate that. Um, when we talk about success, a lot of people said they've come on this podcast and they talk about they made the six figures, they bought their dream house, they had the dream job, and it wasn't they weren't satisfied. They weren't in joy. It was all kind of empty, right? And so I think that it's really important to think about those relationships. And I want to know, what advice do you have for us as entrepreneurs, as we're building our business? How do we also stay focused on family so we don't end up in our dream house alone?
Yeah, so I was just 100% completely fulfilled actually with working all the time. I wasn't even paying myself, but the impact that I was making every single day at the company was so fulfilling. It was so fulfilling that I really didn't need anyone or anything else. And that's really what hit home. So I remember it was September of 2017, and my husband and I were on the couch and we were talking. And I remember saying to him, I don't need you. And what I was saying was, I don't need you financially. I don't need you as a man. I don't need you. Like, I'm an independent woman and I can do all these things. And his response to me was, I want to be needed. It feels good to be needed. And in that moment, I didn't understand what he was saying. And there were so many times looking back that I was like, oh, the writing was on the wall, which I knew the writing was on the wall. I just really didn't care, really wasn't paying attention to it. Um, but it got to a point when I was faced with what had happened that I really had to say to myself, who am I? what do I want? What do I want my future to be? And who do I want to be in it as well? I got married because I wanted to be married. I wanted to share a life with him. However, when I was building the business, I really forgot about that and I didn't care. And I was so fulfilled with the company. So, and I didn't really know what all I was missing out on. I didn't know that I was missing out on all these hobbies and all this time with friends and family and all the quality time that we have now. Like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't desire that. I really just didn't at that point because I was so focused on growing the business. But I am really grateful that this tragedy did happen because I was able to discover who I am and the woman that I was capable of being, not only for myself, but for others, and especially my husband. My husband is an amazing man, and sometimes you don't realize what you have until it's gone or you're on the verge of losing it. And so I value that time spent now together, and I value the lessons that I've learned. When we were going through this transition, I always say it's from discovery to recovery. So during the recovery phase, we both read the book, The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And that was a really impactful book for us, understanding each other's love languages and understanding each other's needs and desires. We grew up in very different homes. So understanding what love meant was very different, and showing love was very different from the way that our parents showed us love. So I think that was really eye-opening for both of us to where I could learn how to love him and how to be present and spend quality time with him. That made a big impact on our relationship. And I just value my time with my friends and family now. So I actually spend a lot more time with them and less work these days.
Well, good. Well, that's exciting, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it too, right? It's not that you're dragging yourself to family dinners because that's not the ideal either, right? It's actually being with people that we love, enjoying that time. And you touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about what part gratitude played in this journey, because that's one of the foundations of everything that I teach in finding joy is learning to practice gratitude. So, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so definitely practice a lot of gratitude. Typically at the end of the day, I'll always say, okay, what am I thankful for? And even when we were going through the hard times in marriage, my husband always say, well, focus on what we have today and who we are today. Because it was, for 2 years, I was still like ready to throw in the towel. And I had to really remind myself of who my husband was at that moment, our relationship, how it, transformed and where we were at that point. So giving gratitude to the process was really, really important. And then there was a time where it was like I had to give gratitude to the other woman. Like she essentially was taking care of my husband while I was building my business, which that may sound really crazy to some people. But I had to give some thanks there because I was able just to be all in and focus on what I was doing. And there are times that things happened within the business that I didn't realize were happening and then till later. And then I was like, oh, I'm really grateful that happened. So one example that I'm really grateful for with the debacle happening is in 2017, I had a mentor of mine. He didn't even know the whole story, but he was just like, you need to walk out of your business December 1st, 2017. He's like, your business is drowning, your marriage is falling apart, and pretty soon you're going to have nothing at all. And so I walked out of my business and told them I'd see them in January of 2018. When I came back to work, there was a new level of respect. There was a new level of gratitude for me as well. And people figured out what was working within the business and what wasn't working. And I had an individual that was working part-time, 20 hours, turn around and turn her role into a 40-hour full-time job to better the company. That would not have happened if I wouldn't have taken that time. And I'm so grateful that that mentor gave me that insight. It was February 2018, 2 months later, when my world fell apart, when I figured out my marriage was falling apart. And because I made the choice to focus on my marriage, it took me out of my business. It took me off that hamster wheel. And the people that I had in place totally took the company from red to black. They made it from old school to new school, and they really stepped up. And I'm so grateful for them for taking ownership of the company and taking it to the next level when I wasn't available or I could not be there. Until this day, those individuals are like my best friends and key people. Like I'm just working on my will and stuff and my trust. And I'm like, they're in it because I'm so grateful for the impact they had, not only on me, but on the company during my time that I needed away from the company. So for me, I'm always finding the opportunity and the obstacle. I really feel like leaning into that provides you the opportunity to be grateful, for you to discover new things, have a new way of thinking. You get to redesign as well. And it also makes you humble within that mindset too. So I think just being grateful for the prayers answered and the prayers unanswered just gives you just a new approach and outlook on life, which helps with becoming happier and more fulfilled.
That is fantastic. So I'm glad that that happened. It makes me think of how hard you worked and the gap that needed to be filled when you weren't there. And we have this appreciation, right? Like when your mom's not doing stuff for you anymore and you're like, "Oh man, like she made this look easy." I didn't realize she was doing so many things. And so we have this newfound appreciation. So I'm glad. And one thing my coach always says that what you said made me think about is rest is an income producing activity. And I think that this is such a good case of that, where you let yourself rest and you let your team do what you hired your team to do. And they did it.
Yeah, and I would say that during that time, their confidence boosted. They were able to be creative. They were able to make decisions. They were able to do what they felt was best. And I had to trust them. And that allowed me to kind of step away even more and trust myself and the process, which as a business owner, you're typically wanting to control all aspects and it's your way of thinking. And so that allowed me to build a lot of trust in them and myself. And then, yeah, I mean, it's just the company blossomed after that. So if you are an entrepreneur, I would highly recommend stepping out of your business for 2 weeks or a month if you can. December is a really great month because if you think about it, there's so many events happening. It's like a 2 week month. People are typically forgiving at that point. They understand there's going to be mishaps. They understand people are going to be out. It's the most like forgiving month for if anything does happen. I think is a great time for you to step out, and you're going to see that the people that you have in place are really going to take ownership and they're really going to run with it. One of the individuals I hired in January of 2018, if I didn't step out of the company, we would have never worked together because I would have been micromanaging and he needed to feel like he had authority. And he ended up working with me for 2.5 years, and we still work together on other projects and everything. So as hard as it may be, I would say jump off the hamster wheel, go find a hobby, go find some time for yourself. And I think most entrepreneurs, we have this grit in us where we don't know how to relax and we don't know how to rest. And to your point, I have found that rest energizes me. It gives me so much clarity. I'm a better leader. And for years, I thought like laying around was considered lazy. And now I'm like, no, 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 I need rest. I need a day on the couch. I need a day where I don't do anything. I'm not checking boxes and I'm not having to produce. That was a huge mindset shift for me.
I love that. And giving yourself time to hear the whispers, right? Because the universe whispers. Chaos is screaming, and we have to be able to tune that out and really listen to what the universe is trying to tell us. Listen to our own brain, our own soul, our own ideas, right? And we can't do that if we're, like you said, busy checking boxes and we're running and we're running and we're trying to manage everything. And that's a recipe for burnout, as we all know, if we're trying to manage it all and then
Yeah.
all the house stuff too.
Right. And I would say, as a leader, when you get into that mindset and you start taking care of yourself and you start taking time to rest, you're going to see how much of an impact that has on you as a leader and your delivery and your leadership style and your management. And soon you'll start encouraging your team to do that as well. And that's going to be really hard for them to do because you have trained them and you've bred them and you've developed them to be like on all the time. So it's a mindset shift for them. But I'll tell you, we have just restructured our entire operation. We've been working on it for the past 6 to 7 months. But my main manager and I, last week or 2 weeks ago, we were both out of the studio for an entire week. We actually went out of the country and our entire operation still thrived without us there. And when you can get to that point, that's an amazing feeling, and that's success to me when they aren't depending on me as the owner, as the founder, as the leader. They're feeling accomplished, they know what to do. And really, that's when you start building the business to exit it or strategically sell it, or you just build the systems where you can really step out and work on the business and find maybe a new role within the company for yourself where you're not doing that day to day because no one wants to do that long term.
Yeah, or even license it because if you've got a profitable system that's licensable and you could be helping students all over the country learn music, right?
Definitely.
I love that. Talk to me a little bit about the reframe. So like you come back to work and you have this new perspective. Like what tips do you have for entrepreneurs who want to establish this work-life balance and they're trying to start, they don't know where to start?
So I have stepped out of the business and back into the business multiple times. So, I came back into the business probably 2019, ready to support the individuals. I came back maybe working 25, 30 hours a week. I was there really as a support system, a cheerleader, and I was in the process of like really doing a great job of stroking our individuals, not literally, but like mentally and like supporting them. And then 2020 happened, so COVID happened. And at that point, I had my staff pretty much ready to rock and roll where I didn't really have to work. But because of COVID, I stepped back in. We got very, very creative and we were in Florida, which is like a free country during COVID. So we were booming. And then by 2021, I was able to step back out of the business and work 15, 20 hours a week. I was traveling every single month. I started playing tennis and it was just phenomenal. And I did that through 2022. And then 2023, I started really working on my book and my podcast, and people became comfortable within the company. And I wasn't there, maybe cheerleading them enough, and I didn't really have the right systems in place. And we had some people change over, but they didn't have the same philosophy as me or the people prior into this position. So I had to come back in 2024 and redevelop, redesign. We went through some expansion. So the past like 7 months has been really hard. And we've implemented EOS, which is entrepreneur operating system. Is from the book Traction. So once again, we're building those systems back in place. And I suspect I'm going to be back out of the business by the end of the year. I will have all positions filled where I don't have to actually work back in there. So if you're going to come back in the business, I want to encourage you to still have balance with your employees, with your time, your approach, because there was a lot of resentment with me coming back in, and I came back strong. And I wasn't as positive as maybe they anticipated I was going to be. However, I came back in because numbers were down, the quality was down, and for me to come back in and tell them that they weren't doing a very good job was very hard for them to hear. So if you're going to come back in, I would say gradually start moving back in a little by little, and then bringing up some things where there's a little bit of accountability versus just coming back in like a bulldog and being like, you're doing a crappy job. Or so I would say that delivering approach and the timing is key because I came back and I judged on a lot of different things that were happening when I should have just witnessed, soaked it in, and then brought up the concerns at a later time, not in the moment, face to face, when they felt like they were doing a really great job. So I would say proceed with caution, take note of the time and your delivery if you're going to come back in. And then also to define your role when you're going to come in. What is your role really going to be? So I came back in as the founder and like the everything when I should have just said, hey, I'm coming back in to review our quality and I'm going to be the quality control manager. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be bringing up are based on the quality. And the quality, the reason we want to make that better is because you want to earn more money, which means we need to charge more. And if we're going to charge more, we need to make sure that we can validate that with our parents. So I think articulating that is really, really key. And there'll be more trust and I think they're going to be more open to receiving it versus becoming really, really defensive and not being as resentful and understanding what the win is in it for them so that you can all grow together. And we've tried a lot of different things. And we've had to restructure and we've had to terminate people as well. So there's so much that goes into transitioning your team. And it can be really hard for you because I don't like conflict. And so I've had to have a lot of conversations that involve conflict. So if you are a leader, I would definitely read some books and get some training on how to approach that. And then once again, getting the right people in the right seats. We've had to shift a lot of people's positions and restructure. Like I said, I highly recommend the book Traction and the book Who. I think the book Who is a great way to onboard and really identify who you want in your organization doing what roles. And once again, there'll be challenging. And I'll say early January, I thought about throwing in the towel. I was like, I'm done. I'm really done. But we were able to get through it. And I'm really grateful because we've got an amazing future ahead of us. And it's requiring a lot of work.
No, but that's amazing. And I love how you focus on pivoting, right? So if this is not working, that doesn't mean, like you said, you were like, well, we can just throw the whole thing away. But we don't have to. We can pivot a little bit. And then maybe this role is not for you, but you can thrive in this role. Traction is a book that I recommend as well. So that's a fantastic, I think, recommendation. And it doesn't matter what level of business you are in, whether you are beginning or you're super advanced, Traction is going to be a really fantastic read. And I love how you said to define your role. Because so many of us, even when we're starting, we wear so many hats. There's so many. Because not only are you the boss, you're the worker too, right? Because you gotta be like, all right, these are our metrics, and then you gotta go meet them. And so understanding what role you are in when you are doing it. Because some days you're gonna be wearing your IT hat, some days you're wearing your CEO hat, some days you have to wear your accountant hat. And understanding what role that is, um, whether it's as a beginner, like when you're wearing all the hats, or you're coming in and you're saying, well, this is what I'm going to do right now. And I love how you defined it as I'm coming in as quality control. Because you're just specific. Like, this is what I'm here to do. I'm just checking the quality of everything. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that too. I think having a conversation with your team and being really transparent and really open to and identifying the future and giving them the snapshot of the future vision and the win in it for them too will help them with being more receptive and really jumping in the boat and rowing with you versus against you. And that's where I failed, where I came back in and I was like, what is going on? And I was just really critical and I didn't really share the full vision of like where we were going, why we were doing it. They saw the expansion happening, but they had no idea the financial stress that I was under. And so um, they don't really know that I've decided not to take a loan and I'm funding this all on myself because I don't want to have a high interest loan payment. And so I think also sharing that and being really transparent is really key where they can, connect with you and understand where you're coming from. And I think sometimes as leaders, we just come in and we're like, this is how we're doing it. This is what we're doing. So understanding the why is really, really important for them so that they can really lean in and really work with you because you can get the results much faster and you'll have everybody flying your flag versus having some naysayers or the culture shifting to where maybe you have a bad hire and that person just is really like on flames because they don't understand you and two, it's really hard too when you bring in new people and they don't understand the history of the company. The most of the people that work for the company have no idea what I've been through personally and all of the everything that I've risked and everything that I've lost over the past 10 years. They just see me showing up, they see me in my Audi, they see me taking a month off of vacation, they just see all those things. They have no idea the sacrifices, the pay cuts, and the times that I wasn't being paid when all of them were being paid too. So entrepreneurship is hard and leading people is even harder. But we're all humans and we all have our own desires and our own needs, and that can be challenging if we're all not aligned.
No, but I love how you put that. Um, Anyway, okay, I had like seven thoughts at the same time. Sorry about that. What I wanted to ask you about now, real quick, was you mentioned your book and your podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have a book and a podcast. They both are under the Stroke It Guide. And the name was inspired because somebody else was stroking my husband emotionally, mentally, and physically. And when we were in the process of having discussions of what happened and in counseling, my husband had indicated, oh, well, she listened to me. She was present. She validated me. She cared what I had to say. She was, there filling a void that you essentially were not. And my response to him was, oh, so she stroked you. And so that is really what inspired the whole book. But when I think about the stroke it concept, really it started with my spouse. And I was like, oh, well, you're right. I'm not present. I'm not making you feel like a man. I'm not showing up as a good wife. Like I'm not even like home. And when I am home, I'm not even paying attention to you. Quality time is me on the couch, you on the other side, or at the same house, but not actually having meaningful conversation. I was so high on my own horse and I was so busy talking that my husband never could speak. And I never asked him how he was. It was all about me. So I learned very quickly, oh, I'm not stroking my husband. And then I thought about myself and I was like, well, I'm not stroking myself either. What do I do for myself? All I do is work. I mean, I don't work out. I don't care for my body. I don't have a hobby or I'm not loving myself. And then I thought about my friends and my family, like, oh, I've just basically dismissed all of them and I never text them. I never call them. And if I do, it's all about me. And then I thought about, oh, what about my employees? Like, how am I retaining them? How am I validating their feelings? How am I making sure that they're happy? And so I just started thinking about all the ways that people want to be stroked, and we all want to feel loved, validated, and appreciated. And so, anyways, that's where the whole stroke it concept came from, which came probably a year after. It came in like 2018. Originally, a lot of this stuff started though in 2018 when I started journaling when I was going through all of the the breakup and the divorce and the whole thing. So the whole struggle concept, basically 2019, I decided I was going to write a book and share all this knowledge with other people. And shortly after that, I started a podcast. And the podcast features a variety of different guests as well. And they're talking about three stakeholders. So yourself, your spouse, your employer, friends, family. And because most people assume the book is sexual, there is a chapter for your pleasure. And so the podcast really features personal and professional growth from myself and for other professionals that have struggled, that have failed, that have a marriage that has maybe failed and wasn't able to recover, some that have recovered their marriages. We have relationship coaches. So it's just a really great podcast of development. And most importantly, the message is taking ownership of who you are, what you need, and speaking up. One of the things that allowed me to find forgiveness for myself and for my husband is that I took ownership in my role of our marriage falling apart. I didn't just blame the fingers. I had to say, yes, I didn't care about our marriage. Yes, I worked until 8 o'clock every night. Yes, I decided to work over spending time with quality family. I had to take so much ownership. And I think if we own our role and the failure of any relationship, and it can be with a friend or a parent, you're able to really start being really honest with yourself and validating that other person's feelings. And once you start validating that other person's feelings, then there's some kind of connection where you can actually have honest conversations to where you can rebuild that relationship. And so I think that was really key for, us, making our marriage work and making it a priority also. So once again, all of this is included in my book, which you can get on Amazon. Um, if you want to get it from my website as well, then I can send it to you. I autograph it and give you some really cool gifts. But it's just a really great resource for anyone that wants to enhance their relationship with themselves, first and foremost, and with others. And I truly believe that you can really mend any relationship with anyone with a few different ground rules. And once again, just taking ownership.
I love how you took something that was from probably one of the hardest moments of your life and you turned it into something that that serves you. that little moment that you had with him, that was probably really difficult. And then you put it on the cover of your book. So I commend you for that. That is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people told me to change the name, and I thought about it. However, that inspiration
Mhm.
is really what created this whole vision and this whole, I don't know, it's like my passion project now. So I do love it. Once again, a lot of people do think it's sexual. So it's not, even though there is a chapter for your pleasure. But we have a lot of fun with it. So on my podcast, I have quickies on Tuesdays, so it's like 20 minutes or less. And then I have guest podcast as well.
Oh, cool. Well, I love how you turned it all into a brand. And like one of my first episodes, turning your misery into gold. And that's literally what you did because I can't imagine a better example for that. So thanks for sharing. No, that's amazing. And let us know how we can stay in touch with you. And did you mention that you have a gift for the audience?
I do, I do. So yes, you can definitely connect with me on any social platform as well. If you go to my website, jennyalldaytownsend.com, you can enter in to get a free gift right there. That also will give you some really great insights and tools directly to your inbox. You'll be able to download my 4 ground rules, which will help you with any relationship. The first ground rule I want to leave you with is to accept. And once you accept the facts, you accept the apology, you will be able to move forward. Accept is a really, really, really hard one, but it is really, really crucial. And we like to make up a lot of things and we like to make up stories and we want to know all the details and we want to know all the things. But sometimes we just need to accept the facts for what they are, and you'll be able to move forward. So that's just one of the 4 ground rules. Those 4 really, really helped me with transforming, turning this obstacle into an opportunity, and leading me to be absolutely amazing and so grateful for the discovery and the whole recovery process. And I wish that for all of you that are listening today.
I love that. That is amazing. Thank you. And social media, how can we follow you? Oh, you
So
mentioned it. You spelled it out, right?
that's my website, but it's the same thing for social media
Okay.
as well. I actually have like a personal social media, but then I have like my brand social media, which is where all the Stroke It concepts are. That's Jenny All Day Townsend, and that's with 1 L. And yeah, like I said, I'm on all the social platforms. You can always email me, connect with me, and first and foremost, go and download my podcast. That's like the easiest and best way to start really engaging with me. Once again, that's the Stroke It Guide. It's on all streaming platforms.
Amazing. Final tip, big tip that you share with your
Final tip would
audience.
just take ownership. Take ownership of your role, take ownership of your needs, speak up. You only have one life, make it the best one yet.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Jenny. This has been amazing. Like I said, thanks again for being here and for being vulnerable with us and sharing your amazing advice. And we will catch you guys next time on the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Bye.